Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Excellent. All right. So presentation today is from Miguel Myers, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself when he comes off mute. I'm very excited about this presentation. Just to give you a little bit of background, Miguel has put out a few videos on YouTube through his consulting and also some educational videos. These educational videos, they kind of address the visualizations in Power BI. So basically, if you just go to YouTube and if you Google Miguel Myers and also put Power BI, because right, 13 characters pop up too. So if you do that, there's going to be some really good short videos with some visual tips that are, I think, are gold. So I originally found those videos probably about maybe 8 months ago, and I immediately messaged Miguel and I said, hey, you're doing an amazing job. I would love to have you do a presentation. So here we are a few months later, he agreed to do it. So Miguel, whenever you're ready, go ahead, come off mute, and we'll let you share your screen. And if you're ready to go, just let us know.
Of course, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see it. I hope that everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
So what we are going to talk to today is just about the process of designing reports in Power BI. But actually, you can take this methodology and apply it to everything in your life. It's not exclusive to just Power BI, and it's not exclusive only for report design. In this wheel, we need to understand that there is like three phases: understanding, exploring, and materializing. And in order to go through that process, you need to first understand your audience. And in many projects, this is really hard because they want to just jump into the data. They want to start building something out of the data that they have already in their systems. And they don't take the time to, before even doing that, understanding who is the final user, trying to get some kind of personas to figure out what are their needs and the ways that and their behaviors when they explore that data. When we go deeply into what kind of investigation or information we need to collect to empathize with our audience, usually what I said, well, you need to understand the basics, which is the demographics. Who are those users? And I'll give you an example. I remember when I went to Boston, I believe, I was helping a company that is all they do is like investments. And when I was in their offices trying to build something for them, I designed this amazing dashboard that they wanted for a tablet users. And then later on, when we finished, the leader of that department saw it and he said, well, this is not going to work. So I asked why, and he said, well, because 80% of their users are elder people, and they have issues in the past. They told us that they have issues seeing the numbers and seeing the text. They cannot. They have to use glasses, and they have struggles seeing very small font sizes, and that's what you are presenting in here. So we basically have to redesign, and it's silly because only because the font expands, then the layout that we put all that information in the visuals have to expand as well. And now we will start running out of space because we didn't plan that in the past. So that's how critical it is to know those demographics and ask for those questions when we are ready to start building a report. So who are they? What ages, their skills, the kind of activities that they are going to do, like their roles. Are these going to be executive people that they don't have time to go deeply into their data, and they maybe need to just see an overall, or maybe they are operational people, employees that they have to watch their computers very often, and they have to take decisions by something that happens, like a production line where if one area of that machine is failing, they need to see it and react upon that kind of visualization or alert that they receive. Um, or they can be analytical people that their only job is to review these reports, go deeply and find patterns, find opportunities and challenges that or predictions that they want to showcase to their directors. Who knows? Or maybe this is just another report that maybe the company wants to provide to their employees, every single people in the company, just to let them know how the production is it's going, or to or people that are donning money to Africa, for example, and these people want to know how this money is getting distributed through the continent to heal people or to distribute vaccines. Who knows? So those are reports for people with very narrow knowledge about data visualizations, but they need to be aware and they need a report or a dashboard to see what's going on. So there are some different roles and personas as well that you have to consider. Sometimes we have to design a dashboard for one role, sometimes for all of them. And we have to clarify that from the beginning. We need to know the platforms. Where are those platforms that they will use? And I'm going to talk about that in the next phase. But even before going to the next step, it's important to understand what are those consumption experience that they are looking for what to use or their needs, their goals as well. If you're going to design a report, make sure that that report allows them to reach their goals, and experience about how are they going to explore that report. Is this going to be something that maybe mm, maybe it's for people with accessibility issues, like people, deaf people or colorblind. So how are you going to improve that experience? And all the pain points, you have to ask them if they already have a report and is your job to redesign it or to come up with something. Ask them, all right, so with the data that you have already in place and the reports that you're using at this moment, what is your main frustration? So they will tell you a lot of issues, and you have to take that and use it later on to build your report. The second phase is to define the platform and the environment. Knowing everything that we saw previously, now it's time for us to really come up with what is the best platform for them. Or sometimes they have to tell us. Sometimes users say I want to see my report in my desktop, but actually, because I am executive, I usually check my phone all the time, even more often than in my computer. So if you can give me a report that I can open as well from my phone, I will appreciate that. So then now we have to design a report that is responsive for two different platforms. And and here's when Power BI comes into the picture. It's our responsibility to always be aware or up to date every single update that happens, not only for Power BI desktop or service, which are the basic ones that like everybody's aware of, but as well to understand the other branches of this family, which is Power BI mobile, embedded, published to web, pagination reports, mixed reality. Every single branch of Power BI offers different experiences. They have their own challenges and their own advantages. And when you combine them in certain way, you can really take a lot of advantage and take your solutions to the next level. But only if you really understand every capability and feature that everyone has. Like if an executive says, I want my dashboard and I want to receive an alert, now I know that mobile needs to be included, because the only way that I can add alerts to users is by using mobile. There is no other Power BI branch or product or platform that offers alerts to users. Or if my user wants to or my customer wants to print their report, there is no other one that just paginate reports. Or if this is a big factory where the people have to walk through and see their data in real time, and they have to interact with that data, mixed reality is the only solution we have to integrate your reality with reports and visualizations. So make sure that this is nailed, because you already collected that information that is required to design your report. So now you need to know for all that information, which are the pieces that fit in the best way in each of these platforms or branches that Power BI offers. Guys, this is just to understand the wheel, like the project. Do you have any questions from here? I would like to hear from you if you want to share your experiences about collecting information and researching before even starting a report, or are you doing this often, or you usually skip it?
I guess I'll chime in first, and then if somebody else wants to come off mute, please post your question, and we'll let you go. Miguel, usually whenever I gather requirements when I'm building reports, I encounter scope creep. So I'll design a report and then I'll deliver it. And my users usually come up with new advancements or like extra questions that they have. So they want me to change things on the report, which sometimes changes not only the structure of the model, but like the underlying concept of why we're reporting on something. So is this like the first part of what you described, or is the requirements gathering that I'm talking about is later in the wheel?
No, this is exactly that phase where you collect that information before they come up with more questions. Because if you ask those questions before they do, or you get that information before they're starting adding more, then you will be in a better place to build a solid structure that is not gonna change dramatically and make sometimes it makes us work backwards and start all over again in certain way, not 100%, but when we make adjustments, sometimes we have to start all over again. And now after questions, I can show an example about what I mean, because what happens to me is sometimes customers come to me in a very rushed way, and even that I explained, I need information before I start, and they say, no, I have to deliver this now, and we only have 5 days. When I have no other way to go along with what they want, then later on the issues come, and then realize that it was a big mistake.
Yeah. So do you ever encounter any kind of tips where you can say, okay, I've been through this so many times, so I've developed a specific way where if you say, okay, give me all your extra questions now, and that's it, we're gonna cut off. Do you have like a sign-off process, or do you go through like a list of check-offs or something like that? How do you handle that?
I handled that with a questionnaire, and that's the most basic one. The second one is for me to like ask the responsible people if they can gather at least 5 intense users, like people that is going to use the report a lot, or they are clever to use that particular dashboard. And then we get a meeting, so they are sitting with me, and then what I ask is, can you open that report that you're using, or the data that you're right now using, and show me how you use it exactly in your daily activities. How is your mind going through this report? And then when I'm seeing that person telling me the story about their usage and their challenges, I start asking questions. And actually what I'm doing is I'm just completing my questionnaire with other questions that I know that they won't be able to tell me unless I see it. That's how I try to get as much information as I can.
Okay, and then when you do your deliveries, since there's going to be some excited either execs or managers that these people are going to deliver this report to, those execs are going to come back and ask for questions. Do you have a step in this process where you handle that?
That's correct, and that's why this is a wheel, because the step that you just said is the last one. And sometimes what happens is, even that we collect all the information, sometimes there are some gaps, and we need to again go back to understand those gaps, and then like start over again, but not to redesign, but to add or to improve that dashboard.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Mark was asking if you're going to be sharing the slides after the presentation.
Yes.
Excellent.
And actually, I'm working on materials that shows you step by step, so you not can only see the theory, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a project that goes through each one, so you can see the stages and you can see how that dashboard evolves through the entire wheel.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I have more questions. I consider I've been working through these processes with different companies and different clients for about 5 years, and even after that, I still get issues where I'm backed into a corner. So I'm excited to go through this entire process with you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I know how it feels. So let me show you one of those examples. This is a report that you can right now find from Washington. Is the COVID-19 report that they have. They came to us and they asked me if I can design this report. At the beginning, and this is the second version, because they split this report in two. And the first report, that is not this one, I designed it based on their rushing requirements that they want me to do. They said at the beginning, we don't need anything else. The only thing we need is to make this report look beautiful, which I hate when they say that. And then I designed based on what they gave me and the time frame that I had, the deadline that I needed to meet, and everything that you can see in here, it was like fully well distributed, and like everything makes sense for that particular view. Later on, they didn't tell me that they were planning to add more options on the top, more options in the left, and look what happened. They literally destroy the thing, start overlapping all these buttons. Nothing is consistent. The colors, everything is confusing, and that's because we built something without thinking what were those requirements. So then when Nevada came with us asking, I want the same report, then I said, well, if this is going to be the same issue that we had with Washington, and you are actually allowing me to do that research, let me build something that is more sustainable and that is going to allow you in the future to expand. So let's try to see that the big change between researching well and not doing it. In here, you can see that I have my options on the top, and then in the left side, this is the only space now that I have to add content, plus the slicer, plus any other extra views. In the new layout, this section is just to select a county. I don't have that drop box that it's in here, that is actually not even complete. You can see it now in here. Is so much easier for that user to select what they need. And then the buttons, the options are in the top. And I am allowing the users to even go further, to even adding more and more, like, well, not unlimitedly, but at least more than the previous one. And as well, now the user has more ability to reduce the size of these tabs and add as well another 8 or 9 tabs on the top. So basically they can explore this report easily from one page to the next one, like what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
And the whole design remains consistent. So now this layout will allow them to evolve and add content without any conflicts. This is the result of research and experience from a mess, and see how how that works well with something that people can actually take advantage of. It's not just designed to make things look pretty, but this as well to deliver a good solution, to deliver information, insightful dashboards, and make it sustainable, make them perform well, that they are not like lag all the time, loading a lot of data, because we have like 80 elements in the report, so everything is trying to load at the same time. So every single area in your requirements have to be nailed in certain way, and the only way you can move from this hell that basically I designed, they destroy it, but from this hell to something more organized and clean, which is here, is just information. All is required is this understanding part. That's all it requires.
Very beautiful.
Explore is the next phase of this wheel, and it can be quite tough because you need to know a little bit about user experience. And there are a lot of techniques, and there is a process as well inside of this wheel that you have to take advantage of. And the only goal for you to go through this phase is to create an easy, efficient, relevant, and all-around pleasant experience for the user. That's your goal. This is not about designing yet. This is how you can improve that experience. You have to know some of the information architecture that is part of the data, and how you're going to group that information. Like if I go back to that report, so how are you going to group all these tabs? All right, maybe you should group it by on top confirmed cases, deaths, testing, and hospitalizations, or by current status, trends, demographics, and county tracker, and below then the other ones. So you have to understand how you're going to label them, how are you going to organize them, so the user, when they move to testing, do you like what is the kind of impressions that you want them to see it? Like this example, I want to make sure that the user understand that when they see the layout blue, it's always confirmed cases. When they see the layout yellow, then they know that it's hospitalizations. And when they see in red, it's deaths. Why? Because each of these tabs have this information all over the place. Like if I go to current status, so now I have again confirmed cases, testing, hospitalizations. If I do not break their brain in this way, they will be always seeing the same tones, the same message around every single topic, and it will be a little bit tough or confusing for them. But if I use color as a reference and the limitation between each of these 4 topics, it will be easier for not only me to design it, but for the users to explore this dashboard. That's how you need to prepare based on all the data that you have. Try to come out with these kind of groups, levels, and figure out a way that they can find it easily, or feel identified, or represent certain information in a certain way for them to click in their brains. The interaction design is another part about, okay, what do you want them to do if they see a trend going down? Do you want them to just look at the trend going down and that's it? Or do you want them to go deeply or use the drill through, so then they can go deeply into what were those factors that make that line go down? Or like exactly how do you expect that they interact with that report? Ethical design, do you want them to this report be accessible? If yes, what kind of accessibility issues are we talking about? Colorblind, motor disabilities, people that suffer, I always have issues saying this word, that they are anxious, or people that are under stress, or dyslexia. Like we have so many accessibility issues, and the design responds differently depending each one. So make sure that you understand which ones you have to nail, because this is going to rule not only the layout, the color usage, and the visualizations, but as well the kind of experience that you have to deliver through the entire report. I'll give you one option for people that they are very anxious, that they suffer this. Oh my God, I have always issues saying this word, that anxiety. I never had. I want to try my yes. I want to try my best saying that word, and I can't. Well, so for people that suffer that problem, when you design reports that are like in this one, for example, this report has 2 buttons, and they are so close from each other. They have issues doing this. Like, you have to give it a space, a really good space between buttons, because sometimes they don't receive well that, or people that have motor disabilities that they cannot use their mouse really well as well. Having options really close from each other is a disadvantage for them. That's why thinking about accessibility, it's important. Security, some companies, they have their data, and they want from a user, when they open the report or the dashboard, they don't want to show all the data. They only want to show the data that is part of the region or the role, and they want to filter everything else. So make sure that your data responds in a way that secures or delimits the usage of that information. The user journey is, do you plan this report to be from top to bottom and from left to right, in case that we're talking about the majority of our countries in this world, or like in other countries, like in the Middle East, in Japan, their experience is the other way around, is from right to left, and then your design is to go all like vice versa in the other side. You need to understand that, because that's gonna lead in the way that you present labels, legends, descriptions, and overall the flow of the journey when a user explores their information and interacts with that information. The benchmarking is as well a very important piece for designers at this moment, because if you need to design a solution about social media analytics, it's not going to kill you if you see what other companies do, like social bakers. How do they separate their information? In what are the key metrics that they use to deliver to different industries, and what kind of visuals they use to represent certain data? Is that the best visualization? Is that very consistent through other competitors? Because what you want is for them to feel identified with something that they already know, instead making a revolution and retrain their brains. So it's good sometimes as well to know where the flow of the river is flowing. So then it's going to be easier for you as well to create a plan for adoption later on. I think the best design is the one that doesn't need any manual, and it doesn't need any training. So in this stage, for you, your priority is to nail the fact that this solution or report needs to be useful, it needs to be easy to learn and very easy to remember. That's the goal.
Actually, I have a question about that before you move on. One of the things that we've done recently is we introduced some apps to our users, where before we were just sharing reports through, regular functions. But something you mentioned that's very important to me is that I don't have to train my users, and I don't want to. So I guess what are some of your best tips that you would say that I would know that the users are going to adopt my report, or where do you see where there's a stopping point where I've created a report, but then I keep having to explain it to people. And so usually right now, the apps are for the sales field. So people who are not usually techie, maybe they use the app on the pad, like the iPad or their Android pad or their phone. But I find myself explaining this stuff all the time. So what are some of the things that you do?
Take advantage of resources like Color. Color will help you to let them know what to do, or what is important, what is not. Another way to create a good experience without describing so much is size. The important information bigger, and the not very important smaller. Use as well references, indicate instructions in a very short way. Follow the trends like websites. We know how websites work. So now that everybody knows how a website typically works, grab that information and apply it in your design, so then they feel familiar with that interface. Something else that I do, because Power BI sometimes play against us, and that's because the developers maybe didn't take the right decision, and is making the fact that you need to discover something in Power BI is quite difficult. It's very hidden. So sometimes what I do, and that's why I brought this sample, is I show in the main page, I show some animations about, all right, every time when you see this symbol in a visualization, like the question mark, I'm going to tell you ahead that you are going to find instructions about how can you use that visualization. And basically when they are going, they go into the report, and then they do that. They can see in a very fast animation how they can actually here ask a question, and how that is going to show. Or here they can see that there is that they can switch between, or they can I think here they can drill through and go to another page. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is to analyze their data and see where are those key factors that are making that trend going down or up. Or they can even switch from visual, from the chart to a map, and they can see it. They can right away, like I'm trying my best to give them that information, to train them. Later on, the design should be enough. Like I don't need training for me to see that the visual and map is something that I can switch in here. It's already in place. It's easy to identify. But things like drill through, if I want to see like Power Apps or OneNote, and then I want to analyze, and then I want to see, or drill through, and I want to see more about OneNote in return rate, and then it's going to take me to another page to go deeply into that particular product. This is something that not even Power BI users will identify. It's very hidden. So then that animation will allow them to see it happening, or you can add an some kind of instruction or text saying right click on a plot to drill through, or maybe you can use the new Power BI button that is called drill through button. That what happens is when somebody selects a plot, that button highlights it with another color and changes the text. So then they can see that now by clicking that button, they will drill through to another page, filtering only that particular selection. So you have to, and that's why when I was talking about in this stage, you need to understand the strengths and the weakness. If you're going to implement drill through, and you know that it's tough for users to identify and find it, what are those alternatives that we have already in place that it will improve that experience? Are you going to use an animation by using this is what we call the tooltip header? Are you going to use an animation or text when somebody hovers in that symbol? Or are you going to use the drill through button to allow users to know exactly what to do? Or maybe just a text box explaining what's going on in that visual and how they can take advantage of it. So you have now 3 alternatives. And the way to know those three is because you know the capabilities and features that are part of that visualization. Now, if you translate this into a mobile device, how are you going to show that animation if hovering is not a thing in mobile or tablet? So how are you going to translate that experience into another platform? And in Power BI Mobile, what alternatives do you have to make that happen?
So, what's an easy way to create that? Because I've seen that before, but is it just a GIF animator, or how does that work?
Oh, oh my God, this animation?
Yeah, it's like it's like a animation that you put in a tooltip, right?
Yes. What you have to do in order to take advantage of this is you need to first build your animation. I did this in Illustrator. And once I animate it, I upload this into let me show you. So I have this. Mm, oh, I closed it by accident.
And also,
So
do you store your images in
it,
SharePoint or
no,
Teams?
that's exactly what I want to show you. What I use is this service, Image Shack, and here I have all the icons, logos, animations that I designed for future reports, and once I upload those animations, I want to show one of them. Let me see albums. So in here, so I have all those images, and I have I believe the animation should be in here. Like, look, I have some animations as well, and then I use that information. I use these images, and then I use this is the custom visual. This is the one that by using the URL that this app, once I upload this image or animation, this app gives me an URL, which is in here. This is what I need to make that custom visual work. Because the custom visual, all it requires to make that animation is an URL. So by dragging that URL in here, then I get that animation. That's how you do it. And then you use this page to link that into the tooltip header. So when you are in the visualization that you want to display that animation, and if you go to the tooltip header, I believe is in here. So it tells you so where is the page that contains that animation, and this is the one that I have. So now this is how it's linked, this animation with that page that is in here, that page contains the custom visual with animation URL. The only way that you can really move your reports to the next level in Power BI is if you know every feature and capability from Power BI, desktop, mobile, and all the branches that I show you, like how well the same way that you know your hand. And if you are really good in that, then your creativity can go to the next level because now you know your tools. It's like a painter that needs to paint this amazing wall, and somebody gives them this kind of amount of brushes, and that person is capable only to use 5. So the kind of art that he will come up with, it will be good, but it will be even better if he knows how to use every single paint and brush that is provided. That's why it's so critical.
That makes sense. We have a question from the tabular distractor, since Austin Powers is not working out for me. Alex Powers is saying, oh, 1 second, here we go. Alex says, Miguel, every report I see from you and Chris, well, actually, Alex, do you want to come off mute, or do you want me to read the question? Which you prefer?
It's up to you. I mean, I like the narration, but I can ask.
I can narrate, but I like hearing your voice.
Oh yeah, I'll go and ask. So Miguel, my question was, every report that I kind of see from you and Chris out in the sample galleries, they really kind of largely emphasize, maybe 2 to 3 large visuals, or 3 to 5, just depending upon the complexity. Obviously, this creates more pages, so I mean a little bit more on the navigation side, but it's a much cleaner, much more concise, puts Power BI in the best light possible. How do you kind of balance that with the end users, where they say, well, that's great, but I don't want more pages. I just want everything on one page. I then see the Power BI report into 100 spinning wheels. How do you generally approach that, talking them off that ledge?
Well, that happens as well to me all the time. And it's about the strategy. It's like when they say, I want to see everything, I say exactly what is everything. Do you want to see trends? Do you want to see comparisons and then KPIs all in the same page? And are you sure that you are going to sacrifice that request from like putting all this information against your performance? So are you okay spending 20 seconds, a minute is waiting to load the data? And if you're not, can I offer you another alternative? Because I can show you all those KPIs, and I can show you trends if you use this capability, which is the tooltip capability, that when you hover on that KPI, it will display another window with the trend and maybe comparisons. So then you can see both. Or if you want to see patterns and all together, maybe instead of showing you a lot of values, I can show you a heat map. When you hover on a particular trend or color correlationship in that heat map, then I will give you more explanation, so you can drill through a particular point that it might catch your eye. So what I do is, again, I take advantage of functionalities and capabilities in Power BI to display as much information as they want in a very minimum way. The other way is like tricking Power BI. This report came from Unilever. So because I couldn't use their data, I had to come up with a random information. But this is exactly the kind of pain that they went through. They want to see all the social media channels, and they want to see like all the KPIs. So for us to build that, and they want to see everything, and they want them to interact with the slicers, and it was a chaotic situation. So I'll show you. If I go to the selection, you can see tab order. So in this example, I had to use 42 elements, 42 visuals or elements in this report to load at the same time. So when somebody selects a company, it takes time to load. And remember, this is a very small data set that I just built, but they had millions of rows. So for them to select another company and wait all that time to just load, and then you can see Twitter, because this particular company doesn't have anything in Twitter, everything is blank, 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 blank. So now imagine they had not only Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, they have many other channels and campaigns. So this list goes all the way down, and they build this long page where they wanted to see everything. So how I was able to move away from that craziness, I told them, well, we can play with Power BI in a way that with one, like here from 40 something, now I went to 7 elements, and I have that data in a much pleasant way. And so when they say Contoso, look how fast this moves. So it's faster, and because North Company doesn't have any any Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest, is removing that information and just keeping what they need. And even I can add the tooltip. So when they're hovering here, they can see the trend of subscribers over time for YouTube channels. So I don't need to create another visualization with all the lines, and I don't need to create like I can optimize the performance, add every single information they want in one single page, remove all the noise, and keep a very clean and elegant design. The task in here is, do you know that actually that was capable, that Power BI was able to do that? Do you know that actually we have those capabilities to add more visuals without having them in place? And if you know, do you know the alternatives, how you can take advantage? So then it displays in a certain way that is more pleasant to to the user, you have to go along and show them those capabilities and how well they behave in order for them to say, yes, this is what I want. Or they can say, I'm missing something else. Can you add this other thing? Or maybe like they will tell you how you can start moving forward through that plan. But this is how I do it.
I think that the way that you approach cleaning up the noise out of your reports is absolutely genius. So if you have anything you want to expand on that, I think everybody is going to be a sponge for this information. Please preach as much as you want. I try to reduce my visuals, but your reports are just beautiful. Is an understatement.
So in terms of experience, by using so many visuals, sometimes users go like in a very tall page. They improve the height. And what happens is because they have so many cards and so many KPIs, so many visuals, they end with a scroll bar. And when they have tables or visuals that use a scroll bar, so now they have two scroll bars, one to go all the way down in the page and another one that goes all the way down to the visual. That's really bad. It's better to always remove those scroll bars as much as possible. And if imagine that I had so many other campaigns here, not only 4, and I had more, well, what will happen is something like this. The user will be able to scroll down in here, not the page, and it will be better for them to just do it in one single spot. Another, I remember as well a report where somebody asked me something like that, like I want to see, it was a accounting account or finance report. Let me see if I have it here. No, I don't. But they want me to design like a huge table with a lot of finance statements, and they want to see visualizations. So what I did is I create like a bar in the top so they can expand that and then they can see the visuals and then keep playing with their tables. And when they don't need those visuals, they can collapse it and just see the tables. That's how I was able to like keep that hidden and just expose it for users that were more appealed to look into data visualizations and not tables, because these financial guys, they were using Excel all their lives and they felt really comfortable using tables instead of visuals, but only few users were requesting for those visualizations. So it was to me like, okay, I can give you that, but I understand that 80% of your people don't like visualizations. So this is how I'm going to handle it without saturating your page. And it worked as well, really well. By using bookmarks, that was the feature that I used to nail that bookmarking.
I actually have a very similar report to the one that you showed. Did they ask you anything like a by month split? Because as soon as I showed them the aggregates for the YTD and the previous year, they're like, oh, great. Well, I can compare and see this, but now I want to see this by month. Do you add a button or because, I mean, this is much cleaner than my report.
So in here, yes, the idea for them was to switch the MTD, YTD, or annual. So they want to see this information into that kind of split, and that's what we did. This visualization down here responds with the table. So when you select something in research and development, for example, the title changes its name, and the trend changes as well. So I don't need to show every single thread line of every single statement. Just by them interacting with this table, it will change this visual. I believe what they did before, they use a line chart and they put all these statements in one line chart. So it was a mess because some of them are so small that you were literally seeing a line, like a straight line in the bottom, and then the other one, the huge ones on top. It was impossible. So they were compromising visualizations with their experience, and it was a disaster. So this is again, I don't need to create a line chart with 20 lines, or I don't need to create 20 column charts. But all I need is to make sure that this table interacts really well with here, and the title and the colors and the budget adjust depending their selection. And as well, if they want to see, just like you said, if they want to see the split this over month, or maybe instead seeing by budget, they want to see the budget variance, they can make those switches, those changes by using bookmarks. And without adding more and more information in one single page.
Got it. Awesome. All right, let's keep going.
Alex, did I answer your question?
Alex is already trying to steal your PowerPoint.
Yeah, just let me know your Venmo or PayPal, and if we can keep you here all day so we can steal your knowledge, Miguel, I'll buy you lunch and dinner.
This is why we're only having one session with Miguel.
All right. Okay, so guys, do you have any question about this topic? This is like, to me, this is the most important one. I know the information is really important, yes, but this is how you start really making your solution, like knowing the direction that you're going towards to. The next one, I am not going to talk about this one too much because I have already a lot of information in my YouTube channel, and you can go deeply. And there are areas in here that I am not an expert. Like data management is something as well that you need to look at, like where is this data coming from? Is it just one source or many sources? Is this going to be live connection, direct query, or is it going to be imported, blah, 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 all that about data. Measures, DAX. How are you going to use DAX in order to improve performance, or maybe to visualize certain visualizations in a way that it's properly displayed, or who knows? There are so many ways to use DAX and reasons. I even use DAX for designs. Like I can say, when things go in this way, I want them to resize in this with this size, or I want them to show this color. So basically, I use a lot of DAX just for design. And data visualization, just like it was mentioned before, there's a YouTube channel that I put together. You can see a lot of tips and tricks about data visualization. These are just the basics. It will at least give you some orientation. Nothing in here is a golden rule. Things change depending on the requirements. I don't like that fact about you never use a pie chart, never use, no. I think the strength of any human being is the ability to be flexible for changes, and that flexibility it gives you advantage in the entire industry. So keep your mind open all the time. Nothing can be so rigid. It's not going to take you anywhere. So these rules that or tips that I'm putting is not a golden rule, just something for you to know the basics about data visualizations, interactivity as well. Understand how those visuals are going to interact with each other, because that's the amazing thing about Power BI that allows us to interact with our data. And you need to know how visual interactions work, what is the difference between slicers and filters, etc. Then we have the capabilities, like I said, know when to use the conditional formatting, how can you improve the usage of labels, access, etc. And the features like bookmarks, tooltips, drill mode. But this is your homework. You really have to go through every single update that we launch almost every month and see what is new, not only for Power BI Desktop, but for service, for mobile, for mixed reality, etc. All those branches that I showed before. It's really important. If you really want to go to the next level, understand those features and capabilities. It's critical for this stage, because now that you know your audience, now that you know the experience, it's for you the time to see, all right, this is the experience and this is the information that they gave me. Okay, so this is the right feature for me to do that. This is the right capability for me to display it in this way. And let me see if I do have an example about that. Yeah, so here. This was a nightmare, because when you have so many states that they have a thread line and they share the same visual, it's impossible for you to really distinguish 50 or 40 lines all together squished in here. So Microsoft as well was pushing a lot for accessibility. So by having colors and then legends, it was really bad for the user. What we did, knowing those limitations and knowing the specifications for this project, was which it was, I want a line that has the label at the end, so people can see it without using color all the time to reference a state. Power BI, the people that know Power BI doesn't allow you to do this. You cannot put a dot at the end of the line and then add the label. You can't. There is no way. And I am not 100% sure, but I haven't seen something in the custom visuals that do the same thing in a way that actually is sustainable and doesn't compromise the security of your information. So what I did in here is I combined multiple visualizations. Like this is our thread line. This is, I believe this is another one that contains the data that is not completed. This one is the scar chart. You can see in here, this is a scar chart, and this one contains the bubbles. So by using them, and they share the same axis, so they will be very like mostly well aligned with the dynamic usage of this report. And this is how I got that working. So by knowing the capabilities, how the scar chart works, how the line chart works, and taking advantage of their challenges. Even sometimes what I do is I see a gap in a visualization, something that is not working the way that the developers want it, and I take advantage of that. One example is in here. So they designed this new visualization that is called Smart Narratives. And what Smart Narratives does is when you open that visual, it reads your data that you have in here, and it's going to tell you some kind of information about what it can see. And you can even add more context in your table and add values that dynamically change. So I saw this, and then I said, well, there is a huge advantage for me to use that as a KPI card that goes beyond what actually our cards or multi-row cards are capable of. And I can make it dynamic. I can make it look like something really like in here. All this arrow, green and red, it changes depending if the parameter is right or not. So I create my own card by using that Smart Narratives. Why? Because I know the capabilities. I know how I can take advantage of whether, and when the PM that developed these visuals saw this, they were completely amazed. They didn't know that actually that visual will be capable to do something like this. And that's what you have to do. You need to know this really well to take advantage and go to the next level, to surprise and improve that experience that you already are specifying in this stage. And of course, the features are critical. Guys, any question? This is just about the explore. And what we want is allow users to discover, to design their own experience, and to deliver that experience in a very pleasant way. The next one is to materialize. Now that you know the data that you research, now that you know the plan and you have already explored the options, you know now how to visualize a visualization that maybe had challenges like the one that I showed you, that line and the country at the end. So you have explored all those possibilities, or like the one that I show you with these cards. Now it's time for you to put it in Power BI and really make it look appealing. And to do that, you need to understand the basics of layout. This is a graphic design field. If you're not a graphic designer, find one. If you think like I have seen so many people, like I before working in this industry, I was a graphic designer, and I remember people coming to me saying, I want a logo, and then I was trying my best to do that logo, and then they came out with something that they built in Word, and they want me to basically use that. And so some people they don't have the ability to accept that they don't have that talent, and sometimes they want to fit all these skills into one person, and think that it's going to work well. So if you think that you don't have that muscle, find a graphic designer that is willing to help you on designing a layout based on everything that we discussed. The user interactions between, like, this is the part that we were talking about, animations, or maybe, so if you're going to use animations, let that graphic designer to make your animations for you, and make them use After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, whatever they want to make that animation look great and efficient and clean. So then you just plug that material into your Power BI. Make sure that you request the branding guidelines so you can understand what is the voice tones and guidelines that these brandings follow. So if there is a color that it's important for you to use, sometimes I have companies where they say red for us is an institutional color. So if you use red in a negative way, that we don't like that. It's against our guidelines. So you need to use red in a way that actually red is good. So now the whole design needs to go around as well that. Communication, like icons, images, just like I show you in this place, I have all my images. They are consistent. They follow the brands that we had at that time. I'm saying that at that time because Power BI usually had this logo, and now we have another logo. But at that time we had those icons and all those materials. Everything is the way that it's supposed to be. I am not using something from Google and every logo looking different. I'm trying to be consistent through a certain parameters or brandings that they have to keep a communication very consistent and clear to that final audience. And this will allow you to design the reports that you can see, reports that are clean, that has those capabilities that you can like. It will allow you to go to the next level. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be busy, like in this example. This is too busy. There is so much happening in here. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, depending. This is a demo, so of course, a demo we want to be very like a clown, full of colors and full of things. But in the reality, maybe that's not ideal. Maybe some companies actually they like that and they need that. But the majority, they need something clean and something straightforward. So understand those parameters and apply that into the design to make sure that it looks appealing.
So
and
I
clear.
have a question for you about some of the designs that you have that are simplified. I see you have on the left side in the top corner, you have some icons there, and you showed us your image shack where you store the icons. If there's report designing going on by non-graphic designers, but by people who want to make their stuff beautiful, is there a source that you use to grab it, or is Image Shack somewhere where we can all go and grab these?
No. Image Shack is for you to store those images, so then you can use them in Power BI. And by you having them in here, you're going to guarantee that the report won't miss that icons later on. Sometimes what people do is they find URLs from images from a website, they copy and paste it, but later on when that website takes that information, those images or animations down, then your report crashes. So that's why I put all my icons and animations in here, so to make sure that my reports will never crash. If you're looking for icons, if you're looking for materials, what I do and I use is this one, flat icon. This one contains so many icons in many levels, many ways, and you can even change the colors and like you have so much freedom. But this will allow you to put these icons in the background of your report, so then you can keep them static, or it will help you to how can I say it? Yeah, it will help you. This one will help you to add them statically. But if you want that to be dynamic, if you want that to be part of their data, you basically need to take them from here and store them in the other spot that I show you, this image track. These flags, I took them from there and I put them in here because when I let me show you. Okay. Because when I'm building the prototypes or ideas about how to design reports, I want those be part of my visual and not being just like if I show you in here, this is an icon that is always static. It doesn't change. It's always there, just like the logo and everything else. But there are other icons or images that are dynamic.
And also, Alex wants to know if this is if Image Shack is a paid service, and what is the attribution requirements for the use.
Mine was to the icon website that you're using there. What was that icon website?
It was flat icon. I use that.
The other one is flat icon. This one is for you to find icons. This one, the other one, is for you to store them and ensure their existence.
Does flat icon have a paid subscription, or how do they want you to kind of give attribution back to the creator? What does that look like?
No. I'll show you. In the flat icon, all you do is to extract the icon. So if I want to social media icons, I can click in here and then I can download that icon through different formats. It can be PNG.
Right there it says attribution is required. How do I attribute?
Exactly. That is the URL that you need. Am I correct?
No, right there on the green text it says attribution is required. How to attribute. So how do you generally handle that within your pages to give credit back to the original content owner?
Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
Miguel, he's saying you have to give credit for the icon to the author of the icon.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I'm so sorry. Yes. Well, that depends on your subscription. Like I have a premium subscription, so I do not need to give credit. If you do not have any subscription, you have to be to give credit to the author for sure.
There we go. Thank you, Miguel. Just wanted to keep everyone legal here.
Oh yeah. So you have to, and it's gonna. There are other ones that are open source, but the majority of those icons you need to have your own. Like you have to give credit to that author. In here, these flags, when you have them here, then you are capable to even use themes or any other way to add those images, animations, or icons into your table, like in this example. So when I go into, I believe this Power BI desktop is a little bit failing, but I'll show you what I mean. So because I imported a theme, for people that they don't know what is a theme is like a JSON file that contains every parameter of your report. Like it says, when I see a title, make it this font and this size. When I see a background, make it white. When I see labels, make them this color. So we specify every single formatting option into that theme, and then the theme once it's imported automatically changes your entire report. And right now is moving forward because it allows us to even add icons into that theme. So when users go into the name in this case, and then I go to icons, you can see, well, you might not see them because this version is like crap, but in here, all those icons that I have for those countries are in here. And then I can specify when the ID of that country is 1, then give me US. When the ID of that country is 2, then give me, and it will allow me to add those ones into my table to make my table more pleasing, or to add that extra touch to my table. And the only way I can do that is I need a URL, and the URL is not going to come from flat icon. It's not going to come from here. It's going to come from whatever you store in here, or any other provider that it's capable to storage images, and give you an URL, because this is what you need. This URL is what you need. I hope that solved the question.
Yes, that answers the question. Thanks, Miguel. Anybody else have any other questions before we move forward? All right, I think we're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Finally, test and implementation. This is what you were asking. Sometimes they come up like, once you deliver that report, if you did everything the way they're supposed to be, they need to test it. They need to see how it feels. They have to even take notes about the challenges that they are facing by using that new design, and they will provide you feedback. So then you can remodify it, go through the wheel again to redefine those areas that maybe are not working properly. And if everything is fine and you meet all the requirements without like users are not giving you any bad feedback and they are happy, really happy with it, then you just can implement it. For this testing, you need to know about functional testing. Like they have to go, you have to review the data, their functionality, interactivity. What am I talking about? Sometimes we have KPIs and you need to make sure that that information, that number that is displayed is correct, that there is no issue with the data itself. Maybe there is a filter that you're missing, or maybe the totals from this table is not matching the KPI that basically is coming from the same source. Maybe there is an issue with the categories that is making that total not equal. That's the part of functional testing. It's not about them, but sometimes the users will tell you there is something wrong with this number, but you have to as well take your time and review this by yourself. The system testing is just to review if the performance is going well. Once it's connected to live data, for example, or direct query, is this if you're adding like a decomposition tree, is that decomposition tree working as expected using live data? And if not, what can you do about it? Like, how can you really speed it up? Governance, platforms, this is the kind of things that you need to review. That is not about the design, it's about how things work in Power BI environments. Acceptance testing is more like they have to, the user needs to sit down and check that solution from the beginning to the end, and then they have to give you some feedback. They have to feel it. They have to experience it. And sometimes making regression sessions is really good. Like you can let them know, okay, so user number one, can you please go and do this, that, and to get this other resource, and then you have to let them do it. You have to see exactly how much time it takes them to do that. Or sometimes they have to come up with a scenario, and then they have to go through that and see how they solve that issue. But this is exactly what you need to see and they have to experience before even implementing it. If you pass these 3 testing, then it's ready to implement. If you don't, go back to the wheel.
Wow.
And from my side, that's all I have for now.
Excellent. So Miguel, just want to thank you so much for sharing all of your genius. Some people are asking for your presentation so they can use it for inspiration. I'll leave it up to you if you want to share it. I think that some of your designs are really genius, and we need that more in the community, just so that people understand the basic principles that you talk about in your YouTube channel.
So in those YouTube channels, you're gonna see about how to use the basic parts of visualizations, like how can you distribute plots. Sometimes we have visualizations that the plot is real, like all the plots are always the same size, and people are using scar charts or bar charts to display them, and basically they look the same size, like there is nothing to compare against them. So I'm telling you, when you face that kind of challenge, this is one of the ways that you can actually improve that visual. Or if you're planning to use like icons, I can show you that icons can be used in multiple ways. Like in here, this is a table, a very simple table. And in here, in the right side, you can see that the same table contains icons, and how easy it is for users to see the information from the right side versus the left side. Like this is boring. This is a little bit tough for somebody to really read the icon and then see the trend. but it's so much easier for the brain when they see an icon related with that information, and when they even can see the post image next to the text, so then you know what is exactly that post about and how well responded through social media. So this is a way to use icons. There are other ways that you can use icons to make it accessible, so people that are having hard time seeing their information by color because they're colorblind, well, you can use now shapes. You can use those shapes to make a separation. Like this is so only like the basics, and then you can take this even further and be very creative. Legends, things that you should avoid using legends. I have seen a lot of people when they have a very narrow visual, and the legend has 10 categories in there, and what Power BI does is only displays two, and then it displays below those two or three categories below, it displays this arrow telling you that there is more in the right side. So now you see this visual with like 10 colors, but only see 3 labels in there, like 3 legends. That's not optimum. You have to be able, the user have to be able to see them all in once, not just moving that arrow click by click and go through each of these 10. That's crazy. So those bad practices that at the end impacts the user experience, I'm showing you in here so you see the basics and try to avoid them as much as possible. Again, that's a bad practice, but this is not like the golden rule. Who knows? Maybe there is a project where actually that arrow is necessary. You need to know your requirements to make sure that's true. Colors can be used in many different ways. So by going through this video, we'll give you some tips about color usage and how to optimize the visualization or the message by taking advantage of color. Axis as well, there is many usage of axis, and people sometimes they think it's just axis, but well, it's a big thing. It's a big thing when we are trying to display information and we know how to use axis, especially in Power BI, which is a little bit tricky. But if you see this video, you understand what I mean. What I like about these videos is that I show you the bad and the good. And that bad, again, please, that bad is not bad. It's just it's an example that is making it harder, and the other one is making it easier. That's the message that I want to deliver in here, and you'll see what I mean. I have grid lines is the smallest one. Grid lines is something that I have seen some, and I was really not keen to add grid lines because it was such a small thing in visualizations. But after seeing so many examples and customers and users publishing reports where the grid lines basically keeps my eye looking at them, I say, well, I have to do something because grid lines should be something that is secondary in your visualization. It should be a reference line. And people are taking that line so bright, so colorful, so dark that now I am not just looking the thread line, but every single line is keeping my eye checking on them like it's something important. So how you can reduce that, and it's in here in this video. There are many other videos about like in here I'm showing you what I did to get that this report that you're seeing here. You can even download this file in one of those videos. This is an open source, and I'm showing you from scratch, from a blank page to the end, like how did I get in here. And then another videos, I don't like these ones honestly because they are changing over time, and right now what I'm showing here maybe looks a little bit different of what it looks right now in Power BI, but it will give you some of the basic functionalities that Power BI offers, like conditional formatting, how to use icons and color support, icon style picker, filter pane, etc. In the future, what I want to do, what I'm envisioning is to come up with a feature without showing you the steps, because as soon as Power BI evolves, that content goes outdated. So I'm planning to just show you this is the capability, and this is how you take advantage of. The rest, go to the Microsoft documentation, and they will tell you how to take advantage of it. But this is what I have so far. I'm sorry, I am not a big video producer. In Microsoft, I work like crazy. I try my best to add some content, but it's like a lot to sacrifice in here, and I need to spend as well time with my family. But I'll promise that I will publish something soon, and something related with what I'm talking about, the creating process.
That's absolutely awesome. And Miguel, I think the sentiment from the community is that everyone is starving for more from you. I would love to have you back. I'm sure that once we share some of this content with our community, they will want to gravitate to your YouTube channel. One of the things that I always struggle is having analysts actually pay attention to the colors that they're using or the purpose of the visualization, just like what you talk about in everything that you teach about. So I think that one thing that I would really love to hear from you is how did you get into Power BI when you were a graphic designer? And how are you able to leverage these things so well? And how can some of the beginner report designers can kind of gravitate towards your genius?
Oh, well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a painter, but my family said that's craziness. You cannot be a painter. I like drawings. I like to draw a lot of like comics and anime, and I never had a chance to, like, my family never let me uh, go through that path. So they want me to study another like university called like studies, and I decided to go to with marketing. And then in marketing, I realized how important actually was what I like, which is art and publicity and marketing. It was something so good for me to know, and I want to know more about this research and this consumer customer satisfaction. So I was really into more marketing than anything else. I loved it. Then I said, well, what's going to happen if then I start studying graphic design? Because I see all the theory about marketing and how important is the data, but now let me introduce that in actions and design those commercials and those printing materials that marketing needs in order to make successful a campaign. So then I study graphic design, which it was so easy for me because I already since I was a kid, I already loved colors and design. So now I put it into really practice. Then I when I saw that the design wasn't enough and the research wasn't enough, and I needed to treat with data, is when I said, well, let me study more about data science, and that's when I start my third degree in computer science, and that's how I got the three skills: marketing, so my audience; design, the UI and the UX; and data and the last one is just about data management.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you coming on. Really hope that you'll put out some more videos and come and do some more sessions like this with us.
Of course, I'm working on that.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Anybody want to come up mute, ask questions? I think this would be a good time. Miguel, they're asking for the PowerPoint for reference. Would you share the process PowerPoint?
Yes, I'm going to share the process. Those topics that you saw in each part of the process are the topics that you need to research in Google. Like once you research those keywords, you're going to see even more about what I'm saying, but at least it will lead you to the right direction. And the plan right now that I'm doing is I'm going to go into more details. Like I said, I'm going to give you an example how to go through Scratch and see this process moving forward. And everything is going to be open source. Like I'm going to share everything with you guys. That's part of my dream, that this knowledge needs to be distributed everywhere.
I definitely appreciate everything that you will do and everything that you've shared today. So thank you so much. All right, let me see. Is there any more questions? All right, it looks like they want to know if you play soccer or football.
No, I don't. I have a very sad experience
I think
about
they saw
that.
your Colombian logos.
Yeah. No, I don't.
He's doing a report, guys. All right. Looks like no more other questions. And Miguel, I'll be in touch with you maybe if we can schedule another session and we'll share the presentation if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you in another session.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, Miguel. Thanks, everybody. And I'll try to schedule another session next month in December. Have a good one.